Trigger warning. This video contains a scene of suicide prevention. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello my precious cinnamon rolls, my name is Phoephoe. I'm here back again playing Loren, the Amazon princess. And once again I'm having to record with my windows open because it's boiling. So previously we got back to the Citadel and Karen announced that she was going to abdicate the throne and that Loren was going to become the new queen. And then we got some new guests, so here we go. Loren went with Eleanor to meet her guests. Even though they had arrived back home and the mission was complete, Loren had not dismissed her service. Both seemed to ignore it for fear that bringing up would definitely bring an end to their partnership. They walked into the audience chamber and found two people that neither had been expecting. Across the room was an old man in wizard's garb and a strong-looking brute that stood guard by him. Eleanor froze, reckoning them both to be human. It's the enemy of her kind in the war. They reacted just as instinctively to seeing her. The warrior's face grew cold, and he reached for his sword. Eleanor made sure to feel for her own. Loren said, "Stand down, this is not an elf you should fear." Their hands moved from their weapons, but their glares were still just as hateful. Loren says, "Who are you and why are you wasting my time?" Apollo Mencho, this is the wizard. He says, "I make this introduction short. I am Apollo Mencho, Archwizard of Grimoire. I come on behalf of the Empire to speak with you." "And your bodyguard?" Loren asks. "He's called Amokiki. He's the city's champion gladiator. Do not mind him." Loren says, "If he stays his hand." Amokiki says, "I will make no promises." Loren says, "The war is outside humans. Do not drag that mud in with you. Now tell me, why are you here other than to cause trouble?" Apollo Mencho says, "I will not beat about the bush. I'm aware that you've recently come into possession of a sword, the Hawk Blade. Am I correct?" Loren says, "What of it?" And here it says, "Reports tell me that it glows for you, thus giving you its secret powers. I have come to ask for an alliance between the Empire and the Amazons, so that the sword must be used for its true purpose." Loren crossed her arms and gave the old wizard a venomous look. Eleanor was no less unwelcoming. "Where should I start?" Loren asks. "I will not be a puppet for the Empire. The Amazons will not take sides in this petty war. So it is not of your concern. You could not possibly know its purpose, and you are remarkably mistaken to think you could come here and assume otherwise." Amokiki says, "I told you she's in league with the elves." Now these two are the human faction guys that we would have met if we hadn't run away to the elves in the previous chapter. Amokiki is, again, he's a romancing, a love interest, bisexual, I think. But the wizard is not. Arnold says, "Loren sounded no one but the Amazons. You were wrong." Amokiki says an elf by her side. Eleanor grit her teeth painfully. That's not the right tense, I'm sure. There was nothing she hated more than being judged by simply what she was and not who she was. I says, "Quiet, I will handle negotiations here." Apollo says, "I realize I make a mistake thinking I could so easily persuade someone as headstrong as the Amazon princess. Of course, why would you be concerned about the Empire or anyone else for that matter? Please allow me to make a thorough case explaining why." Loren cut her hands through the air in impatience. Says, "No, I already made up my mind." Reza says, "Princess, important guests have arrived for an audience." Loren says, "More? Your friends?" "Now that's Ray and Mirth." To the honest chamber worked Druid Mirth and Ray, already in solemn moods, but seeing two unexpected humans sent their wild. Says, "Agents of the Empire." Parliamentary says, "Evil witch." Parliamentary read his staff to cut and attacked spell, but Ray shot a perfectly aimed bolt, knocking it from the mage's hands. In the next moment, Ray was tackled by Amokiki while Mirth had some vines to puncture through the floor, tiles, and grab Apollo Mencho's legs. God, that's hard to say. Loren says, "Stop this madness!" with 2 exclamation marks. Eleanor ran to the elf and the gladiator to pull them apart. With a steady kick of her foot, she slid the gladiator away from the elf and out of his chuckle. A quick flash of her sword kept the two separated. Loren says, "You are not battle within the Citadel." Mirth and Apollo show huffed at each other from across the room. Their companions slowly stopped growling at each other and joined the other sides. "In these walls no war exists. If you battle, I eradicate you, understand?" Mirth says, "My apologies, Princess Loren. I was not expecting the enemy." And Apollo show says, "And I was not expecting filth." And says, "Listen to yourself. You do not know each other, but you've already committed to hating one another. The druid and her brother are no threat to you. Must it always be attack first, ask questions later?" Apollo show says, there have been countless charges for the Empire against this very druid that stands before me. Killing her would be doing my nation a service." It says, "I have personally done your kind no harm. I've only protected the forest. You only wish to kill anyone who has the common sense to stand against you." It says, "I will hear no more of this squabble. This war is your own fault." Mirth says, "The very fact is not, and that is why I came here as soon as I could." Amakiki says, you wish to blame the Empire entirely? Murph flashed a pair of ornery eyes towards the mage and his fighter. Murph says, as much as led to the reality is far more upsetting. The soldiers that attacked the Elven city were not under the Empire's influence. And Polymacho says, what soldiers are you speaking of? The Elves attacked our city, that is how the war started. He said, the soldiers were not human at all. They were goblins and an illusion spell to appear to be the Empire. Whoever attacked us, or both of us, if your story is true, wanted to bait us into war. Murph said, it worked, unfortunately. Polymacho says, why should I trust you? Murph says, use your magic on this goblin sash found in the forest. Sense it for yourself. She threw a garment towards a Polymacho who caught it, who focused on it and trembled. Demon magic has tricked us both. This garment reeks of illusion magic. That is a skill only taught in the Everburn Mountains. It says, demons, it's always demons. Polymacho says, Fust, he is their leader. I fought him in the past, and he is beyond ruthless. He is near impossible to kill. My comrades and I had thought we had done so, but it appears we were wrong. The council not believe me if I tell them it was all a trick. They believe wholeheartedly, as I did, that the elves meant to wage war. He says, I do not want this war, Archwizard. I will see it end by any means. Polymacho says, I find no glory in this war either. If we can find a means to a truce, then we should do it. A brief moment of silence told Loren that the two of them needed to form an alliance, or else they would kill each other off for no reason. Eleanor's gaze bounced between both faction leaders, eager for them to come to the same conclusion. Earth says, I propose we join forces against our true enemy. Polymacho straightened. The demons, you mean? Yes, we may not see eye to eye, but it's more dangerous foes at large. Earth says, then we shall seek peace with our nations. Elvis was silent for a long moment, and then reached out his hand towards the druid. She stared at it, and then reached out her own. They shook hands with each other, sealing the new alliance. Everyone in the room marvelled at how their attitudes had completely changed, putting their personal vendettas aside for the greater good. That was quick! We've got the party members. Oh, wizard. Put everything we can in Will. He's got a slightly different spell tree, though, than Draco. So we've got all of his level 1 spells except for heal. Ray asks, can the elves really work together with the humans? Ray says, we must try, Ray. The only other option is to be attacked on 2 fronts rather than just one. Amakisi says, Archwizard, the sword. And Polymacho says, oh yes, Princess Loren's sword. How do you know of the Hawk Blade? Mirth asks. Polymacho says, excuse me, I'm well researched in the ancient swords and have been actively searching for them. Of course I wouldn't know if someone was casually carrying one. Mirth says, are you seeking to manipulate her to do your bidding? Polymacho says, the sword does not need to stand just for the Emperor, it could stand for our combined forces as well. Loren says, the sword is dragging me into commitments I have not made yet. Is that all it will do? I want nothing more to do with it. Loren unsheathed the sword and it glowed. But seemingly slammed it against the floor, everyone gasped in horror. Look at Ray's horrified face. I'm sorry, that's hilarious. Makiki rushed up to it and bent down to pick it up. After a moment of hesitation, he grabbed it and held it for a long moment. Despair broke across his face, while Polymacho cringed and looked away. The gladiator stood up with the plain sword in his hands, nothing more. Murph says, you're throwing it away, but it has chosen you. Loren says, a piece of metal is not going to ruin my life. If you want it so badly, you can have it. I have plenty of superior weapons here at the Citadel. Polymacho says, you will never find a blade stronger than this one. Don't be a fool and throw it away. The world needs you, and you are running away. It says, it's an army to fight of one. We need not only a fearless leader, but one who would not appear to be biased towards either side. With this sword, everyone would agree that the gods themselves chose you to lead us against the demons. Eleanor says, Your Highness, they need you. Loren says that is not my problem. Polymacho says, then we will ask the Queen to lead. King Karen is a good substitute. Murph says, though she cannot wield the sword. Loren was tempted to give her mother taking her place. Could she send her mother to war after just returning her home? Loren says, this is absurd, you cannot have the Queen. Polymacho says this seems more like her decision than yours. Loren says Loren knew that her mother would take up this role if only as a means to kill herself. She could not lose her mother to this. Eleanor says, Your Majesty. Eleanor had difficulty bringing Loren's hard stare towards her. Friendly. Whatever happens outside the Citadel will affect you too. If this war continues, you are letting the world you live in be destroyed and ruled by chaos. Whether you see your human or an elf, your life as it is now would not exist if it weren't for them. The clothes you wear are made from the silk woven by the elves, and the bread you eat was made by wheat grown in the Empire's field. We all need one another, or else everything we know and cherish will crumble apart. Loren stared straight in front of her, contemplating her words. Eleanor prayed that she had gotten through to her mistress. Finally, the princess's eyes blinked back into reality and looked at the faces around the room. The demons are asking for a fight, and I shall give it to them, Loren says. Everyone was more than relieved. The air in the room was significantly lighter. Polymath says, Amon Kiki, this sword. The warrior looked down at the hawk blade and then slowly walked up to Loren. She gazed at it warily. Amon Kiki knelt down suddenly in front of her, holding up the hilt for her to take. He says, most of my life has been spent training myself to wield this weapon, but it does not recognize me as worthy. So I return this blade and swear my life to its owner. I will follow Loren, princess of the Amazons, and will give my life if necessary to protect her. Elna looked up at hearing the gladiator's pledge was so similar to the one she had given not too long ago. But this man did not need to protect her mistress. Eleanor knew that she was the only protector that Loren ever needed. Loren stared down at the sword and then finally wrapped her ring fingers around its handle, lifting it into the air. It glowed. Is this your calling, sword, uniting these people to slay the demons responsible? Eleanor says, I'm sure of it, your highness. She thieved it and looked over at her servant. Can't say sheaved for her. Loren says, we shall see, I suppose. An historical alliance was formed then. The humans and the elves had joined forces with the Amazons to lead one united army against the enemy that threatened them all. After some negotiations, both Parliament and Mirth had to take steps to convince their individual nations to end the war. Citadel was designated as the base of operations due to being the only neutral fortress in the land. Guests were all treated to a formal Amazon welcome and peacemaking rituals, including great feasts, folk songs, and tests of strength. A few hardy days of bonding, the Amazons had concluded that an alliance could be formed between the three cultures, and even the human elf factions began to put their differences aside. Amon Kiki says, you were very strong for an elf. Ray says, I believe that was a compliment. Alright, you're not bad yourself. For a human. Amon Kiki says, I'm the greatest warrior in Grimoire. I'm not bad at all. He says, even the greatest warrior can fall for a single arrow. Two stared at each other and then laughed. You're right, I should have the arrows on my side even if I don't need them. He says, you think brute strength with everything? Prepare to be proved otherwise. And Kiki says, is that a challenge, assassin? They both show that they were the superior fighter. He says, accepted, may the best elf win. And Kiki chuckled and they slammed a fist together in a gesture of good sport. We put everything in strength. So he's got battle cry, shield bash, shield wall. I'll do for that. Nearby, Draco, I don't know where that came from, grinned excitedly and turned toward Rama standing idly next to him. He held out his fist towards him. May the best elf win. Rama just looked at the fire mage. Oh, dwarf, what? Come on, let's make a cool challenge pack thingy too. Rama grumbled and walked away, leaving Draco hanging. He pouted. Well, sucks for you, because you were just going to win anyway. Now I win, Draco wins, yeah. Eleanor walked to her mistress Loren while she was holding her final audience with Parliamentary and Mirth. So it is agreed, Parliamentary says. We shall both head back to our capitals to divert attention far away from the citadel and to convince our nations to put a stop to this bloodshed. Says, yes, I will help the forest elders see how we were so easily fooled. Mirth says, Princess Loren, you must come visit each of us immediately. If anything goes as planned, we need to introduce you to our respective councils as the new commander of the combined army. Parliamentary says, speaking of which, I do not feel that the Grimoire Council will be so ready convinced that the elves did not attack. I may need your help in convincing them. And says, I will come visit you both as time allows. And says, Your Highness, all preparations for departure has been made. And says, oh, Eleanor, good, stand in front of me. Eleanor says, yes. Eleanor cautiously stepped in front of Loren as she asked the princess and received her sword, and she tensed. First decree as High Commander is to promote you to my second in command. And says, Majesty? And says, kneel, Eleanor. That question she obeyed. The hawk blade then tapped both of her shoulders, and she looked at Loren with disbelief. You've proven your worth to me as an advisor, and I will have it known that your commands are respected as if they were mine. Thank you, Majesty, Eleanor says. My life is yours. Justice was beyond comprehension. Was she no longer a slave? That feeling barely registered. Entire lifetime of being treated as just a lowly servant, and now Eleanor was given one of the highest honours she could ever obtain. Loren sheathed her sword, but it took Eleanor several more moments to stand again. She says, I am happy for you. And Parliamentary says, back to our matter, you need a token of the Empire to pass in Grimoire unharmed. The old wizard materialised a medallion from his robes and held it out to Loren. She said nodded for Eleanor to take it instead. Parliamentary said, this will let you pass into the Empire's lands without much trouble. I assume the rogues and bandits who do not recognise our laws will attack you anyway. She says, that is why I'm not doing well with talking today at all. That is a wise idea. I shall give you the forest's blessing so that those still loyal to the elders will not strike you down. The druid closed her eyes and a glowing flower sprang from her palm. She plucked it and handed it over to Eleanor. These will be useful. I will leave to meet you with you soon, Loren says. Polymath says, must be off right now, but I will leave Am and Kiki to you. Murph says, and I am convinced Ray to travel with you as well. Loren says, farewell and be safe. The two faction leaders bowed and left the palace to depart from the citadel altogether. Commander Brazier approached Loren and saluted her with a hand over her heart. Brazier says, Your Majesty, the Amazons are ready to fight for you. Our alliances are strong and we will no doubt be victorious. But we should not turn down a chance to strengthen our numbers. There may still be more allies to be found hidden around Aravon. And says, thank you, you're dismissed. And says, more allies beside the dwarves? Who could we recruit to our cause? I can think of no one of value. Eleanor says, if I may interject, we have encountered several powerful people on our journey that I think will be useful to have on our side. Mesfit, the Dark Elf Rogue League, a strong belong belief. Even though he has made a blood pact with demons, he could be persuaded to our side. There's also the shapeshifter Chambara. She may not see the point, but I believe we could convince her that even our isolated swamp is in danger. And says, yes, those are excellent ideas. If I have time, I'll see to recruit them. They count as expansion pack party members, so you wouldn't be able to recruit them in just the base game. But since I have the expansion pack, that's irrelevant. Eleanor says, when shall we depart? Eleanor says, tomorrow morning at dawn. Be prepared, Eleanor, we have a way to end. Eleanor says, yes, ma'am. Celebration of the Queen's return had ended, the packs had been made, and the party was ready to set off to fix what the demons had so easily broken. So, we can do training. Ready to train with me, my goblin slaves. I won't go easy, I'm warning you. We'll do various fights, but first I'm going to look at my inventory. Just seeing what I haven't got much in the way of anything. I need to look at the new party members. We got Ray back, haven't we? Karen, yeah. Kiki. That sword is not an improvement over a standard longsword. It's the same thing. Oh, we need some new stuff for them. Let's train with Brazier. You train with me at Goblin Slayers, I won't go easy in morning. Fight 2 versus 2. Right, we can only have 2 people in the party for now. So, let's have Draco. And let's try out Kiki. Fireball. Ouch. Oh dear, he's dead. She's not very vulnerable to any of those elements, unfortunately. Yeah, there we lost. He says, you need to train more if you want to defeat our enemies. It was not a good combination of a castle. Commander Brazier, you've said the citadel well, I assume, Karen says. Brazier says, I'm overjoyed at your return, your majesty. Anna says, that's a very different attitude from before. Brazier sputtered in anger. Karen says, what do you mean, Eleanor? Anna says, she was quick to label you as dead and pass the crown to Loren. Karen and Brazier looked at each other for a moment until Brazier looked at the ground. Karen says, I'm sure Brazier had her reasons and they were wise ones. It says you honour me. And I still felt uneasy with Brazier, even though Karen had no issue with them. Shop. Let's see if we can buy Am and Cookie a better sword. Standard broadsword. And a 2-handed sword. No, need a broadsword. That'll do for now. Oh, need to sell those gems that we've got. Otherwise, I think we're alright to go. Well, we've got a whole bunch of new places to go to, but first we're going to the camp. One says, Eleanor. Eleanor says, yes, mistress. A sword is missing from my collection. Are you cleaning them again? Fear shot through her. Did she replace one of Loren's precious swords? It's impossible. She swore herself. Take absolute best care of them. Eleanor opened her mouth, but no explanation rolled out. Eleanor says, find it. Eleanor says, yes, Mum. Eleanor started to sweat. She had no idea where the sword could be. She began to check everywhere in the campsite, even places she had not been. Inquiries to the other party members revealed nothing. Eleanor did remember, however, that she had gathered stone by the lake, so she trekked to the waterside. She was too busy scanning the ground to realise that someone was there. Oh, I remember what's going to happen here. I need to put a trigger warning for suicide attempt on this video. Karen was sitting on her knees by the shore. Eleanor almost addressed her, but she soon realised there was a sword in Karen's lap. She was the one who had taken the missing sword. Karen was whispering words too soft to hear. She held up the sword delicately like an ancient artifact. Eleanor was intrigued with what either Amazon ritual this must have been, because she had never witnessed it before. Karen says, I'm by this right, I'm prepared to join you. Karen pointed the tip of her blade directly at her abdomen. Karen was going to... Eleanor leaped forward, thinking she lunged for the sword before Karen could move on the muscle. The elf's hand caught the blade, cutting her palm. Karen resisted. Karen says, no, no! Queen heaved as if she was crying. Eleanor tumbled with her in the loose dirt to separate the mighty Amazon from the sword. It proved more than difficult. Karen's mind was made up. Eleanor says, don't do this. Eleanor felt a heavy blow to her head, sending her flying backwards, but the weapon was still in her control. She shook off the dizziness and held the sword close. Karen darted towards her, but Eleanor knew that an Amazon would gladly die in battle too. There was only one option. Eleanor launched the sword far into the lake. It landed. It disappeared. Karen looked like she was almost running after it, but instead she was shocked stiff. As the shock wore off, she faced Eleanor in fury. Karen says, how dare you? How dare you undermine your queen? I should have had you killed for this treachery. Eleanor grovelled on the ground. The blood from her cut had soiled on... The blood from the cut on her hand soiled the dirt. Eleanor says, forgive me, forgive me. Tears ran her cheeks from the queen's laugh. Because deep down, Eleanor knew that she would gladly trade her life for the woman that gave her a home when she was a little elf lost in the wilderness. Karen says, you do not step between an Amazon and her last rites. You have disgraced me. The great mothers will never have me now. Karen says, do you realise this? Do you realise what you have robbed from me? Karen's voice faltered. She would not be able to speak much longer. Karen says, now I am stuck here. I am stuck. Eleanor shook her head, too numb to say anything and too ashamed to even think about looking up. She didn't need to do anything because Karen was done with her. She staggered away from the lake, leaving Eleanor by herself. The weight of what just happened would not lift from her for many moments further. Karen would have been dead by this time if she had not stopped her, and Loren had no idea. The pain inside of Karen was deeper than anyone realised, or maybe Eleanor could not begin to understand the customs of the Amazons. But she told herself it didn't matter. Even if it was a noble earth, it was still a death, and she had no regrets about saving Karen's life. Eventually she sat up and tended to her wound. She decided to accept whatever punishment Karen would have for it, even if it meant her life. Eleanor took in a shuddering breath and walked back into the camp. She had to inform Loren that her sword was permanently lost to face its consequences as well. And now sulks in front of Loren, but she sealed herself. Loren says, Mistress. Loren says, you've lost my sword. Loren says, yes, Mum. Loren says, you fool, I've trusted my weapons with you. How can I even let you near the hot blade after this? Or me, says I cannot trust your hands and your life in my hands if you cannot keep a my sword. Loren says, hush. Eleanor trembled from hearing the Queen's voice. This is it. This was judgment time. Karen stepped forward, and Loren was indeed silent. Karen says she is blameless. Relieve her now. Loren cocked her head in confusion, but she could not question her mother. Loren says, you are dismissed? The pit in her stomach was not relieved as she turned and left. Karen spoke some words to Loren, but it was incredible relief. Eleanor tucked herself by the fire like an aimless fool waiting for death. Eventually Karen did walk over to her. Eleanor lowered her head as she got closer. Loren says, I cannot forgive you, but I know what you did. Fire crackled beside them. Loren says, how's your hand? Eleanor lifted up her hand. Blood was already seeping through the cloth. Already twice in the same sentence. But she could not muster the will to heal herself with her own magic. Karen cradled Eleanor's hand as she expected it. Karen says, I meant only to hurt myself. This cut is my failing. Eleanor stood up abruptly, facing Karen boldly. Eleanor says, why? Why were you going to kill yourself? Karen says, I am a weakling. That was the only path left for me. It's far gone now. A weakling I will remain. Eleanor says, whatever you think makes you a lesser Amazon is simply not so. Karen says, I am the Queen. I must be the ideal Amazon. I am the one who defines it. Then you can change the definition, Eleanor says. Karen inhaled long and hard. Karen says, do not tell Loren what you witnessed. She left Eleanor by the fire with nothing else, no punishment or harsh words. It felt surreal but almost sublime. Karen was still alive, and so was she. All the Queen needed was her self-worth again, so that Eleanor could share in her glory. Oh, got the romance up a bit there. That was part of the Karen's romance hack. I'm going to end this episode now, and we'll do the camp banter next time. Hi, this is Phoephoe. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please leave a like, comment, and if you really liked it, please subscribe.